Lucy, why are we talking about women in ministry as a topic in 2025?
100%. I mean, I feel like that's how I feel. And I think many of us do. And we're asking why. And, you wanted to ask me, and I've written books on it, which I was slightly reluctantly started to write books on it in a way. But then as I did, I realized just so strongly that it sadly is very, very much needed still in the world. I do think that in the UK we are actually in a pretty good position, women. I talk to many women in lots of different churches who are very happy, very comfortable, able to do what they feel God's called them to do. They're strong, they're empowered, they're secure. And I meet some women who say, "Oh, it's just not an issue for me," which is great. Thank God for that. And so they don't spend time on it. And I think lovely. That's where we'd all love to get to. But even in the UK, we do have churches and denominations that teach their congregations that women can't preach. And we have churches that say that a woman could preach and teach, but only if a senior man, a man who is more senior than her, is present. And so they have a whole theology of head covering, which is something I wrote on in Women in Worship at Corinth. I took on the verses that give a warrant for the kind of language about a woman needs to have some kind of covering over her. And that's been interpreted in a very extraordinary way of meaning you have to have a man present. You just present somewhere. I've heard of a youth worker who wasn't allowed to teach the youth unless one of the elders, or yeah, I think a sort of older man in the church, was sitting in the corner of the room.